Chapter 9, Unpacking Curriculum Standards and Competencies. This chapter discusses the process for unpacking curriculum standards and competencies, which is one of the essential tasks of teachers in implementing the K-12 basic education curriculum. Curriculum standards are widely used in the United States and in some countries for their curriculum. As discussed earlier in this book, curriculum standards are broad statements of what students need to know and do as a result of learning. In the K-12 curriculum, standards are classified as 1. Content standards, 2. Performance standards. The K-12 curriculum also includes learning competencies. The Department of Education, in its Memorandum Order No. 8 Series of 2015, defined curriculum standards and competencies as content standards which identify and set the essential knowledge and understanding that should be learned by the students. Performance standards which describe the abilities and skills that the learners are expected to demonstrate in relation to the content standards and integration of 21st century skills. And the last is the learning competencies, which refers to the knowledge, skills, and understanding that learners need to demonstrate in every lesson or activity. Now Chris, can you discuss and enumerate the steps in unpacking curriculum standards and competencies?
There are several steps in unpacking curriculum standards and competencies. Step 1. Classify standards as knowledge, skills, and values. Knowledge, if the learning competency calls for remembering and basic comprehension of a concept or skill. Skill, if the learning competency calls for the learner to demonstrate or apply a skill or desired behavior. Values, if the learning competency calls for valuing and appreciation. Step 2. Identify the prerequisite knowledge, skills, and values for each learning competency. Step 3. Look for the desired skills or behavior in every competency. Identify the most suitable activity for each desirable behavior. The desired behavior or skill in this learning competency is for students to create crafts assembled with local materials, guided by local, traditional techniques. This could be done through the following activities: lecture workshop, and project-based approach. Individual or group project. The activities will serve as instructional strategies for teaching the learning competencies. Step 4. Classify learning competencies to determine appropriate assessment tools. This process is based on the works of Glathorn, 1998. Standard with conventional testing, SCT. These are learning competencies that require traditional assessment tools like quizzes and exams. Standards with performance tasks, SPT. These are learning competencies that require performance tasks for assessment or authentic assessment. Standards for continuing development, SCD. These are competencies that focus on values and attitudes that cannot be assessed.
Excellent, Chris. You are so amazing. Thank you for your participation. Now, let's talk about the other techniques for unpacking curriculum standards and competencies. Some teachers also use the taxonomy of educational objectives for unpacking curriculum standards and competencies. The taxonomy for educational objectives were developed and published by Bloom and Krathwohl, 1956. The Bloom's taxonomy has become popular for teachers, especially in developing instructional objectives. Bloom uses a multi-tiered scale to express the level of expertise required to achieve each measurable student outcome. According to Bloom, educational objectives can be categorized into 3 domains: 1. Knowledge-based, 2. Skills-based, and 3. Affective. The first taxonomy is for the cognitive or knowledge-based domain. Bloom identified 5 categories under the cognitive domain, starting from knowledge up to the highest level, which is evaluation. Originally, Bloom taxonomy included synthesis between analysis and evaluation. Anderson and Krathwohl, 2001, revised it later to include creation as the highest category in the taxonomy. For affective domain, Bloom also categorized learning objectives into 5 categories, which includes internalizing values, organizing, valuing, responding, and receiving. For the psychomotor domain, Bloom categorized skills-based learning competencies into 6 categories from simple to complex. And it includes perception, set, guided response, mechanism, adaptation, and origination. The teachers should first decide which of these 3 broad categories, knowledge-based, skills-based, and affective, the corresponding course goal belongs to in order to determine the level of expertise required for each measurable student outcome. The result is useful for teachers in understanding the nature of the contents and in the selection of teaching strategies. Organizing measurable student outcome. In this way will also allow teachers to select appropriate classroom assessment techniques for the course. Fink, 2003, also presented an alternative taxonomy for categorizing different types of learning outcomes. It is known as Fink's taxonomy of significant learning. Fink presented his taxonomy for a systematic approach to course design that went beyond the usual focus on content. This taxonomy provided a model for course design that helps teachers to align learning goals with a method for assessing student learning. Fink's taxonomy encourages teachers to put more emphasis on active learning and relating course content with real-life problems. Now Chris, can you summarize what you have learned from this topic?
Based on what I have learned, curriculum competencies are specific knowledge, skills, and values that students need to master. Unpacking curriculum standards and competencies are essential in the selection of curriculum content, learning activities and assessment tools. In the implementation of the K-12 education program, unpacking curriculum is useful for teachers especially when they design their instructional plans and when they design assessment tools. Teachers need to have strong pedagogical content knowledge, PCK, in order to unpack curriculum standards and competencies effectively. Thank you.
Thank you very much Chris for being attentive today. Now, I've seen that you learned a lot from this topic. Thank you guys for watching. May this video be helpful in your study. Good luck BSED Filipino. Padayon.